Alrighty, folks, hello. I've just finished recording some Grimdark Therapy, which is really cool. Really enjoyed it, and now we're jumping into our own 40k rantage with a titled question, and also a load of other questions that I've asked you to come up with to me in regards to the hobby, life in general, whatever you want it to be. So if you find that interesting, you're going to love the next video we have for you right now. So, no waiting around. We're going to jump right into it with Morgan, QXT. Now, if a question comes up that has been asked before or is very similar to a previous question, I will skip it, but I will thank you by name for sending in a nice question for me. All right, cool. Morgan says, he's from the Discord, he says, "Hi North, hope all is going well. Quite a simple question, but what got you into Warhammer? Was it a particular model, or set, or army, or books, or lore? Would be cool to hear how you started out in the hobby." Okay, so I started out in high school in year 7, which I was 11 or 12 years of age, and a friend of mine called Andy was really into 40k at the time. He was totally into it. He introduced me to the books, and then before long, 40k kind of took over as a fad in high school. Like, everybody was doing it for a year or two. Like in year 7 and 8, everybody was doing 40k. It was the big thing before Pokemon came along, or, as Pokemon was around, you were doing both. You were doing 40k and Pokemon. And it was just a huge thing. And us lads, us three, my 3 friends, my 2 friends, Andy and Danny, we stuck in it. And when everybody else kind of left, we just carried on. And that's how I got into 40k. I went to the Liverpool store on Lord Street, and I looked up to the Games Workshop staffers there, had a really good time playing and painting and doing all that kind of fun stuff. Then, as often happens, girls and booze took over as I got into like 16, 17 age range, moved away from 40k, and it was only in my early 20s after I'd gotten my first decent paychecks that I got back into 40k, but even then it was sporadic, and then eventually went to university and I got into 40k and I haven't truly left it since. I've always been in and around it because since university, I've always either had some money or I've had a job where I can pay for certain things in 40k, so I've never really left it since. I've had spells where my activity of 40k has lessened, but it's always been around. I've never truly left the hobby since, so that's how I got into it. We have Ancient Irish Celt says, he says, "Hi North, I just wanted to thank you for your efforts here on YouTube with your hobby nightmares and commentary on mental health especially. I've been in the hobby since I was 13, and I'm 37 now." Dude, you're me! You're me! It's me! But Irish, so you have a nicer voice. "And have lived with mental health troubles since my teens. Your videos are a joy to listen to when times get tough. Respect to you from the Emerald Isle. If we ever meet in real life, I owe you several pints. The highest honour an Irishman can bestow. All the best to you, Ancient." Well, that wasn't a question, but thank you very much, my friend. I will take you up on that because booze in Ireland is expensive. Don't know why. Booze in Scandinavia is also really expensive. You invented beer. Alright? Well, you and the Germans, but you know what I mean? That part of the world invented beer. Why is it so bloody expensive? The Germans got it right. Dirt cheap beer. Yeah, why not? We invented it. Yes, you did. So thank you. Dookie Nuki says, "As an officer of the Ministry of Truth, it is imperative to know this. Do you support managed democracy? Your answer will be on your record, citizen." Yeah, I love myself some Helldivers, man. Helldivers is awesome. I wish I had more time to play it. But yeah, I love myself some Helldivers. Sprite and Smite says, "Hello North, hope you and the family are doing alright in spite of your grandpa's passing. Thank you very much. I'm currently also working on a cool raw set for an alternate 40k version and would love your opinion on one of the core mechanics I chose, namely the engage/conceal mechanic from Kill Team. I personally think it would help the game being more terrain layout agnostic, and coupled with the game's restrictions present in Kill Team and destructible terrain, it wouldn't be oppressive. On the contrary, it would remove all the meticulous measuring of sight lines and model placement that is one of the big time wasters in current 40k. If you want me to give you a rundown of my concept, let me know and I will write it to you in more detail." Dude, that's actually a really good idea. Send it to me. Yeah, I'd love to steal that. Please send it to me. Because cover and measuring and things like that, yeah, it is a big time sink, so That would be really cool. Robo Dragon Knight says, relationship question. All right. Where would you go to meet new people? Here's the twist. My brother and I don't drink. We've tried bar hopping once, and my brother has gone with some co-workers, all women, to a few bars with no success. Not even a new friend to hang out with. Every time we talk about expanding our social circle, people say, go to a bar. But when we tell them we don't drink, they can't think of anything else. Our friend suggested going to a church hangout, but we're not religious either. Yeah, don't do that. Let's go to church. No. Well, dude, you're in a 40k group. Okay, now, are you looking for women or men? Are you looking for romantic interests or friends? Because those are two different things. If you're looking for friends, you're already in it. You're in the hobby. Go to a hobby group, right? Get involved. Say hello to people. Play games with them. You will find friends. Advertise that you're doing a role-playing campaign. You will find friends very, very, very swiftly, right? And things will work out for you. In terms of female friends or girlfriends, I think it's more about being alive to opportunities than it is putting yourself, like, going out a lot, right? It's being alive to the opportunity of, oh, there's a cute girl over there, maybe I should go say hello, right? That's the kind of thing you need to be looking at rather than getting yourself out there more. I do agree bars is a good thing to do just to start talking to random people normally, right? Your brother seems to have good work friends, so yeah, you're doing all the right things. The hardest questions that I get on this subject are when people are doing the right things but they haven't had the right results yet, okay? They will come to me and say, hey, what do I do about this? I've tried your advice. Yeah, but how long have you tried it for? If it's under a year, give it more time. Things take time, dude. It takes time and patience, especially if you're in the hobby doing what, and you want to find friends. Keep doing what you're doing. Use the hobby to find friends, and to go out and meet girls. Don't do online dating, dude. It's a bit of a scam. You've got to pay for it these days, and it's not there for you, dude. Just don't do it. Just don't do online dating. And be fair, you might even get laid doing online dating, but you're not going to find your woman on there. All right? You're looking at a 1 in 100 chance of finding a woman you can actually be in a relationship with, right? And maybe a 1 in 10 chance you'll find one who, you can sleep with. That's online dating, so don't do it, right? Don't play into the game. In terms of dating, if you don't drink, okay, why don't you drink is the first one. Is it because you're an alcoholic or because you don't want to? Okay? If it's because you don't want to, that's fine. But you need to realize the world isn't going to acquiesce to your needs and feelings. Okay? There was a very good interview by a guy called CM Punk a little while ago. Now, he is straight edge. So he doesn't do drink or booze or drugs or whatever. He doesn't do anything like that. Doesn't even smoke. Doesn't do anything, right? And he said, if I was not a professional wrestler, I'd still be single. Because how am I going to go meet people? I don't do any of the things that people go out to lower their inhibitions. They can meet people. Right? He meets hot women because he works with hot women all the time. He's a wrestler. Go figure, right? So you need to decide, do you want to be teetotal or do you want to meet people? And you can go out and not drink. Absolutely, you can go out and not drink. There's nothing wrong with that. But bear in mind, after a few drinks, people will start to give you side-eye if they don't know you. They will go, well, why aren't you? So say, if you're a dude and you're approaching a woman in a bar and she's drinking and you're not, she will be thinking, why aren't you drinking? Because I'm about to make myself vulnerable here by drinking and you're not drinking. Right? Okay? The world doesn't need to acquiesce to your wants and needs. So it may be time to at least have one when you go out, just to set people's minds at ease, and then go on the softs. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going out and having 2 pints, just to set people's minds at ease, and then go on shandies from there. Right? Shandy's still alcoholic, but it's like negligible, like 1% alcohol, whatever it is, right? So there's nothing wrong with doing that. People go out to meet people, dude, and you need to just carry on doing that. I'm sorry, but the world is what it is, and that's what I would do if I was in your shoes. I've given a lot of advice on how to meet women and how to do shit like that, so I'm not going to go into it anymore here, but dude, Yeah, you need to carry on doing what you're doing. Is my suggestion to you, because that was a really difficult one. And moving on, who is? I think that's it for. If 3D S Pednol says, if 3D printing becomes more common, how do we keep the local game stores open? As that's the one elephant in the room. No, it isn't. It isn't, because your local game stores don't really sell models; they sell Magic the Gathering cards. Okay, so I don't know of any hobby store that stays alive through Warhammer. Games Workshop does, right? Their stores do, but I don't know of any store that does geek stuff that stays alive through Warhammer. It's the least of their troubles. They don't care. So 3D print away. Elijah Stewart says, thoughts on the new Skaven, and do you think they'll ever invent an interdimensional teleporter again and come to 40k? I would like them to come to 40k. I think that would be pretty cool if we had like a Skaven-ish thing. The problem is that Games Workshop really loved sucking off the Skaven. Any Warhammer Fantasy Battles fan will tell you that. Any lore the Skaven had, they were the most powerful. They did everything. They basically won the setting. You know, they annihilated so many independent characters during the end times. They were never really allowed to take any losses because, you know, they're the Skaven. They were the Games Workshop original faction in Warhammer, so they got a lot of love. And again, yeah, Thanquol would lose all the time, you know, because he's Thanquol, you know, and then that's what happens. And the Skaven would get killed all the time, but they'd still end up winning. Do you know that kind of a thing? Even in Warhammer Total War, you hate fighting Skaven on the tabletop because they've got so many buffs and bullshit powers because they're the Games Workshop faction and it's Skaven, right? So whilst I would love them to come to 40k, they would need to tone that shit down because nobody's immune to getting annihilated in 40k. But I do like the Skaven. Yeah, I do like the Skaven. They are pretty cool. They're pretty cool. Okay. E.T. Exterminatus says, hello, North. I've been in the hobby for a good while and joined the army recently. I leave for training within the week and was looking for advice balancing the US Army and the hobby and a potential relationship. I hope you and any of your beloved service members in the comments can help me out here a bit. Okay. Well, forget about it in basic. I'll say that. Like, in basic, your life's not your own, man. So forget about it in basic. That ain't happening. After that, though, after you're settled in the army and you're there and you're happy, as I said before, your first couple of years in the army is not the time for a relationship. Very few relationships survive that because you're around the world, you're having fun, you're with your guys, you're surrounded by masculine energy, right? And even the women in the army just... Okay. I've been told this too many times. The women in the army are cock-hungry monsters. That's all I can say, right? They are literally animals. They will look at you like a piece of meat, and you half the time you won't have a choice. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna come sit on your face now, dude. Like, what? Yeah, that's happening. It's happening. Sorry, it's happening. Right, and that kind of thing. Dude, they're soldiers. They're female soldiers, and they're surrounded by dudes. A lot of good-looking dudes with good bodies, right? They're getting around a bit. Okay? Everybody's getting around a bit. Ask any squaddy. Anybody in the US Army who's an infantryman, ask them. They'll go, yep. Hell yeah. Like, dude, there are words. I'm not gonna use them because they're slurs, but there are words for gunnery sergeants and people like that who are female. Because they will cherry pick dudes out and go, fucking him. I'm gonna fuck him. I'm gonna fuck him. Right? Did they get a choice? Nope. That's what I'm doing. Perks of the job. Right? That's where you're going. So, like, you're not gonna... If you're in a relationship, prepare your relationship for that. Don't prepare your relationship for you to cheat on her, but let her know that you might be a bit unavailable whilst you're in the army for the first few years. Because it is all-consuming. You're going to go in there and it will consume your life, but in a good way. I don't know of any army dudes who went in the army and said I hated it. right? And those who hated it didn't last. They left. But those who were there for the full term were like, dude, I loved it. I was with the guys. I was with my guns. I was with my guys. I had discipline. I had 3 meals a day. We're going around the world. We're doing really cool shit. The ladies there just want to fuck your brains out. And those are the ladies in the army, not the. And if you walk around anywhere in uniform, man, like you're gonna be knocking them off, fighting them off with a shitty stick, right? You're a soldier. That's just what happens, right? You look good. You buff. You're disciplined. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, and you're animals. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. If you're in the army, you're a fucking animal. That's what you are. Right? You're full of testosterone. You're full of stress you need to burn off. How else do you think you're going to do it? Right? It's there, dude. It's there. Right? And so that's my advice to you. Is prepare your relationship for nuclear war. In terms of your hobby, forget about it for the first year. Alright? For the first year, have it in your mind, something you love, and talk to people about it. Try and set up that group whilst you're in there, right? And you never know, after basic, you may have a group of 7 or 8 dudes who are like, yeah, we can't wait to try this, right? Or you may even meet people in basic who go, oh, I love Warhammer, and you bond over it. Then as soon as you get your own time, you got your own money, go get yourself some models, go get you some sorted out. What I will say is, a lot of the dudes who write into Hobby Nightmares who've been in the forces, they look at being in the forces as the greatest time in their hobby, because they had ready-made opponents everywhere. Right? Like, literally everywhere. And a lot of the time in the army is hurrying up and waiting and not doing very much. What else are you going to do? Play some Warhammer. Right? So, you have the best years of your life ahead of you, my friend, but prepare your life for those best years, is my advice. The Woven Mantis says, howdy North, I'm curious if you've ever engaged with any of the 40k tabletop RPGs. I'd love to run a tabletop RPG in the 40k universe, but I'm not a huge fan of any of the systems. The Fantasy Flight series of games, Rogue Trader, Dark Heresy, Deathwatch, etc., are extraordinarily crunchy D100 RPGs that, while thematically cohesive, feel bogged down by the sheer number of rules. Conversely, Wrath and Glory tries to cram everything 40k into one book, and has rules that feel obnoxiously convoluted for even the simplest of tasks, and to put too much weight on the Game Master to homebrew everything together. Have you or anybody you know found success with any of these systems, or enjoying a world-agnostic system that works just as well? Cheers, as always, Woven Mantis. Okay. Ironforged. And Starforged. Starforged works really well with 40k, with a 40k skin on it. And Traveller also works really well with a 40k skin on it. Dude, Cyberpunk Red with a 40k skin on it works really well. You don't need Rogue Trader, Dark Heresy, Deathwatch, or any of these other crunchy systems that kind of take away from the fun. I'm with you here, but those are my suggestions. Yes, I have played most of them apart from Deathwatch. I played Rogue Trader and Dark Heresy. Whilst I enjoyed them in video game format, didn't really enjoy them on the tabletop for that very reason. They're very crunchy. They take away a lot from the expression of the players. So anytime I play a 40k adjacent system or setting, I will be using Traveller or Cyberpunk Red or Starforged. Those are the 3 I'd be using because they work very, very, very well. All right. Brother of Titan says, what sauce is best? Depends what you're eating. Alright, so for bacon, it is brown sauce, HP... You know what? Brown sauce, HP sauce. Houses of Parliament sauce. It's the future. And it goes with most things extremely well. I love it. Alright, moving on. Dylan Duon says, hi North, what tips do you have for somebody aspiring to build up a YouTube channel? I'm taking let me show you how the sausage is made advice. For someone that is willing to toughen out and take the long road. Thank you for your channel and content you provide for us. Okay. Have something to say. I think I said this in a video the other day. I can always tell when a video of mine isn't going to do very well. Because I'm not passionate and I had nothing to say. Like, I may have something to say as in, you know, it's a cool subject. But I know I'm covering it because I need to cover it, and I'm not covering it because I'm passionate about it. People can tell immediately, even from the thumbnail sometimes, and they just don't watch. Do you know what I mean? And it sucks, but I can tell it's going to happen. So always make sure that whatever you're covering is something that you want to do, right? I'm doing 40k. There are certain subjects that I have to cover. And I don't... I throw them up there so people can get it, and my hardcore fans can go and watch them. They can have fun with them. But yeah, have a subject you want to cover. Have something you're passionate about that you want to do, and have something to say. Have something within you that you want to get out there. Because that's the only thing that gains traction. You're going onto YouTube and saying, "Hi, it's Dylan, and I'm here to do another battle report." Yeah, who cares? Who cares? No one cares, dude. Like, what makes your battle report different from everybody else's? Are you funny? You know? Like, listen, the only reason why I was kind of sure I could make a go of YouTube is the amount of people in university who would ask me to do a Fireside Rant podcast. They'd literally be like, "Yeah, can you do like a podcast where you do Fireside Rants?" Because I'd listen to that. Like, I shit you not. Like, there were a lot of people in university, in like the Wargaming Society, where I'd get on about something, and I'd be ranting and raving, and it'd make people laugh, and they'd be like, "Dude, I'd listen to that. Like, you need to like get a podcast or something." Right? And eventually, I did. I ran a YouTube channel. This YouTube channel used to be about writing and gaming. But after a while, those are things that I like, but they're not something that I engage with on a daily basis. Warhammer I do. So that's kind of what I segued into that. Segued into Warhammer. I had a lot to say. I was very passionate. My channel blew up because I spoke about my time at Games Workshop, and in 2020 we had the BLM stuff that I spoke about, which in terms of Games Workshop, all that kind of bullshit that they were trying. And then in 2021, you know, we started doing Hobby Nightmares, which was a big thing because we were just getting into 9th edition, and it was, you know, a thing that was happening. So that's what we did, and I had something to say, and it took off. Right? Every single channel that takes off is because somebody has something to say. They don't just do content. Any channel that just does content, they try and ride a bandwagon, or they've seen a channel and they go, "Oh, I can do that." They fail. They fail all the time. So that's my main advice, dude, is have something to say. Apart from that, get yourself a thumbnail aesthetic that you stick to. Make sure it looks professional and clean, and hire somebody to do it. Put some money into it. Hire somebody to do it. I would, if I was you, do 3 videos a week and don't edit any of them. Make them very, very, very raw. The reason why this channel took off again is because I could do videos very quickly because I don't need to edit anything. I ad-lib it most of the time, and I talk. If you're a natural talker and you can talk shit, right? You know, if you can. And when I say talk shit, I mean, like, you know what I mean. If you're in an argument with somebody, you can give as good as you get. Do YouTube. Do YouTube, right? Yeah, that's my advice. Stick to it. 3 videos a week. Don't edit them. Have something to say, and yeah, that's it. That's it, really. Jen Sablefur. Sorry, Jen Sablefur. She says, "Our takes aren't always on the same page, North, but I'm always impressed with your advice on what you've called graduation from being a neckbeard. Your comments on sanding off the rough edges and that nerds should not be afraid to aspire to be a bit more normie, and general self-betterment that you espouse." Okay, cool. So my question would be this. What is your number one piece of advice you'd give to a metaphorical somebody who wakes up one day, has a massive epiphany, and realizes that their room, their life, and they themselves are a total mess, and that they're essentially a big old neckbeard, and they want to sort it out? What would be the immediate thing you tell them to do in the very first stages of giving their head a good wobble? Okay, right. I like this one. All right. So, first things first, discipline. Okay? Look at your body. Realize where your weak points are. Where are you weak? If you're a fatty Faddington, right, then stop eating as much carbs, eat loads of protein, drink lots of water, or anything non-sugar based with very little sugar in it. Drink loads of that stuff. Get to the gym. That's it, right? And to be fair, when I say get to the gym, I mean literally go to the gym for half an hour a day. That's it. Half an hour a day. Half an hour a day of moderate exercise. And by that, I mean walking on a bloody treadmill up a hill or getting on an exercise bike with a little bit of resistance for half an hour. You'll be sweating your ass off and you'll leave, and you know what? You'll feel 10 times better. You do. It's not rocket surgery. I'm telling you, it isn't. By the way, that's a joke. It's a British thing. We say it rocket surgery, right? It's not rocket science. No, it's not rocket surgery because you're getting it wrong on purpose. The amount of Americans who've gone, I think you got that wrong. No, I didn't, motherfucker. No, I didn't. All right. So yeah, go to the gym. You will feel better for it. Do some exercise. You don't need to go out, right? Go to the gym. It doesn't matter how brutal the gym is. It's fine. Go in there. Go on a treadmill. Put your music on. No one's going to judge you. In fact, you know what guys are going to do if they see a big fat fatty going in there? Everybody is if they look at you at the side of their eye, do you know what they're thinking? Go on, mate. Go on, mate. Fucking get on that. Go on, lad. Go on. Show that treadmill who's boss, son. Go on. Alright, that's what they're thinking. No one's judging you. If everyone sees a fat fatty in there, it's very easy to go to the gym when you're ripped. Alright? Those are the guys that get the eye rolls. Everybody looks at Chaddington in the gym and goes, ugh. Right? But when a fat fatty goes in there, everyone's like, go on, mate. Go on. Fucking get on there. Right? No one will say anything to you, but everybody's cheering you on. Internally. Everybody's cheering you on. Literally everybody. Not one person in there is going to roll their eyes. Okay? There's the one thing that fat dudes and girls get wrong. Is that no one's judging you. Everybody's like, come on, get in there. Go on. You know? That's the shit. And the best thing about going to the gym is seeing those people improve. I've seen people at my gym like slim down, and it's so awesome just to see them going, and they get more confident, and they start walking in with like a fucking swagger, like, yeah, I'm gonna demolish this shit. Give me that weight. Yeah, and they're off, right? It's great. Dude, go to the gym. I shit you not. It doesn't matter what kind of issue you're having. Go to the gym. If you can't do that, do something else, okay? If you can't walk, do weights from your chair. You can do it, man. I've known some hench dudes in wheelchairs. They'd love it. They'll love it. I've got all this dead weight to do pull-ups with. Like, they give you jokes about it. Like, yeah, they love it. So there are ways, if you can get to the gym, go to the gym. Get your endorphins going. It gets your metabolism speeding up. Make sure that you're eating the right stuff. Okay, guys, stop masturbating. Serious. No more porn. You're done. No more of that. You're not allowed any more porn. Just say, next time you think of getting on your phone or the computer or laptop, you're going to go look up whatever her name is, right? You know, just say, no, North said no, so I can't. Right? I'm pulling the chastity belt on you. No. Alright? When you have a woman, you're allowed to climax. There you go. That's it. Right? Enjoy your wet dreams, by the way. They get intense. Enjoy the wet dreams. They're awesome, right? But, like, this is what I mean. If you want your testosterone to go up, if you want to make sure you have more drive, right? It's a fact of science, my friend. This is not theoretical. This is not some Andrew Tate bullshit, right? It's true. You stop looking at that shite and you say, no, I'm not doing that anymore, and you have discipline, and you leave your wedding tackle alone for a while, okay? You get more drive. You get up, you jump out of bed in the morning, and you attack the day. Alright? Now, not literally, you don't go, oh, but you get up and before you notice, you're downstairs, make yourself a coffee going, wow, wait, this used to be so much harder. I used to lie in bed for an hour trying to get up. Now I'm getting up. Do you know why? Because your body's going, I need to get laid, 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 I need to get laid. Inside. Your body, your muscles, every part of your male body is going, women, 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 all the time. You're not thinking it, but your body's doing it. Your body knows, I need to attract women. What do? More testosterone. Because we need to fight off. Clearly, we're not getting laid. Because your body does not know the difference between masturbation and sex. It's one of the things that people don't understand. But no one seems to get. Your body doesn't know the difference between the two. If you reach climax, your body goes, great, he's getting laid. Awesome. That means I can stop making as much testosterone. I can stop, like, you know, giving him muscle mass. Because, hey, this dude's living his life of Riley here. He's getting laid every day. Like, we must have, like, 25 kids by now. This is awesome. Right? So your body stops fighting. But if you say to your body, listen, we're not getting laid, you know what it does? It goes into combat mode. Because it thinks you're losing fights against other males. It thinks that you're not attracting the opposite sex. You're not procreating. You will start it will start giving you. You will start going down the testosterone route. You will start getting more drive. You will start getting more aggressive, but not in like a angry way, but in like a no, I'm going to attack the things that I want kind of a way, right? It's a natural progression of things. You ask any doctor, dude. I know because I did. Right? A few years ago, I've not told anybody this, but Jen's pulled it out of me now. Right? I went to a doctor because I was lethargic. I thought something was wrong with me, right? And he went, yeah, there is. You're a fat waste of space. Right? My doctor was a guy called Dr. Almond, and yeah, he was not. He gives tough love. Yeah, you're a fat waste of space. I was like, what? Yeah, you're not doing anything. You work online as an online, tutor, right? You do a couple of classes that you teach in Liverpool, and you do YouTube. Yeah, you're a fat fuck. You need to lose some weight, right? And you need to stop masturbating. Like that, you are now on you're on a masturbation diet. No, that stops, right? Stop looking at that shit. I know how hot Akira is. Stop it, right? And guys, you know I was one of you because I can name them. I can name about 10, right? I can name my personal harem of the girls I used to go to online, right? Don't test me on this, okay? And he's like, no, you stop doing that shit. Why? And he explained it to me. He said, dude, your testosterone levels will be through the floor. I will do a blood test. I'll figure things out for you, but I know what it's going to tell me, right? You're essentially a bowl of blubber sitting there. You're not going to lose weight. You're just sitting there. Your life is ebbing away. I will not give you any antidepressants or any medication until you try and fix yourself. If you do that and you come back to me and say, Doctor, I'm still feeling shitty, then we'll look into it, absolutely. But get your fat ass to the gym and stop looking at that shite. And I did. I went from 18 stone 13 ounces. Yeah. I'm 6 foot tall, by the way. 18 stone 13 ounces I was. Okay. What's 18 stone 13 ounces in pounds? 18 stone 13 in pounds. It is, I was 265 pounds. Okay. 265 pounds. Dude, I was the same weight as The Rock. And I was 5 inches shorter than him. Alright? Okay. Now let's look at my weight now. Alright, I'm 222 pounds. I am now 222 pounds. Alright, so, yeah. And a lot of that's muscle. Okay, so, you know, my missus, you know, she comes home and I get compliments, or I'm not used to being in a relationship with a woman compliments me. I'm just not used to it, because I've never looked that good. I've looked okay, right? And sometimes you get, oh, you're so handsome, things like that, but like, dude, I get home, like, she lusts. She's like, fucking hell, you're looking so good. And that kind of stuff. And it's intoxicating. It makes you want to do it more. You get positive reinforcement. You go out there again. Right? So, gym. Gym and stop the porn. Those two things. Eat well. Gym. Stop the porn. Those are the two. When you get that drive, by the way, have standards. Now, I am guilty of this. I'm a very messy person, right? I will leave clothes here and there, or I won't dust my PC or my desk for a while. I'm that kind of a guy, right? And it's the one thing I hate doing, because, I don't know, something within me, I just hate doing it. But it is a thing. You need to hold yourself to standards. You need to make sure you put things away. Make sure things look neat and tidy. Make sure if you're a single dude, if I'm a woman, would I want to come back here? Would I feel safe in here? Right? That's what you got to be thinking about. And adjust things accordingly. In terms of your dress and how you dress, okay, be honest with yourself and where your flaws are. There's a really, really good line in Mad Men where it's between women, right? And Christina Hendricks says to the new girl, get a bag, cut holes in it, and put it over your head and look at yourself in the mirror and evaluate where your flaws are and be honest. Then go out shopping for clothes. That's what you should do, right? You don't need the plastic bag. Not the plastic bag. Don't do that. Or the paper bag, right? You don't need any sort of bag. You just look at yourself in the mirror and be honest about where your faults are, right? My faults are, no matter how much weight I lose, I have, like, love handles. They're very small, but they're there, right? They're just there. I don't know. It's never going to go away. They're just always there, right? And I have on my arse as well. Like, my arse gets big. I don't know why, but, like, even with, like, you know, like we saw a wrestler called, what's her name? Black girl. Big muscly black girl. Jade Cargill, right? So, we were watching it the other night, and my missus is like, she got the same arse as you. I was like, oh, fuck off. You know, that kind of a thing. It's just one of them arses, right? But then you're like, well, okay, so I'll buy jeans accordingly. You know, I'll buy jeans that, you know, accentuate it in nice ways, but, like, make it smaller. You know, that kind of a thing. You know, and you buy shirts that... dude, a t-shirt that hugs your chest and shoulders and arms is a cheat. It's a cheat code for men, right? Because it goes sheer down the front and hides your belly. As soon as you start losing weight and putting muscle onto that top part of your body, and you wear a t-shirt like that, you will turn heads. Women will just... what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like, it just... whoa. You know, that kind of a thing. Because you're a big, strong man with big, strong shoulders. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing better, right? Again, there are fat, chubby chasers out there, don't get me wrong. There are a few who will prefer you to have chub. That's fine. But I've yet to meet a woman who's a chubby chaser who wouldn't go out with a guy who's got a nice body. Do you know what I mean? I've never met a woman who's like, oh yeah, I love dad bods. Oh, do you? Yeah. So would you rather have this guy who's muscly or that guy with a dad bod? And they'll go, yeah, sure, thanks. Thanks for confirming that. What you mean is you don't mind a dad bod. That's what you mean, right? You don't mind a dad bod. You're not going to judge a guy for having a dad bod. In fact, you think it's quite cute, right? If he wears nice clothes with his dad bod. Fine, yeah? But if I gave you, not a ripped guy, but like a nicely toned guy with good proportions, you'd choose him every single time, right? It's just the truth, right? Sorry to rip the band-aid off for you, lads, but that's just how it is. So, yeah. Last thing, smell. Smell's huge. Absolutely huge. Personal hygiene is a must. I'm sorry, it is. You know, if you're in a relationship, you know, make sure you, even if you're not, or if you are, wash everywhere copiously. You know, at least one shower a day. Groom yourself. Make sure that your facial hair is nicely trimmed. Maybe give yourself some facial hair, dude. Like I did that, right? So I started wearing like sideburns for a bit, and people liked it, and so I stuck with it. I was like, okay, I'll have slightly longer sideburns, and it works out, right? With short hair, with my face. Try and grow your facial hair out, and then have a little look at yourself and think, what might look good on me? And then shave it to that. And look around. Look and examine your face. And then go out and see what people think of it, right? Experiment. You know? But first and foremost, be clean. Be clean. Make sure you hydrate your skin. Make sure you smell nice, okay? Invest in some good cologne. Absolutely. You know? If you invest in decent cologne, don't drown yourself in it. But if you screw up nicely, like you get a nice haircut, you get a nice facial hairstyle, or you cut it all off, or whatever it is you need to do, right? You wear nicely fitted clothes that suit your body and make you look nice, and you smell good. You're above like 70% of the dudes in that bar already. Wherever you're going, you're above like 70% of them. No matter what you look like. Okay? Thank God. Then this is true. And anybody who says it isn't true, it just isn't getting laid, and they're looking for somebody to blame, right? Women like men for more than looks. It's true. Okay? They're not as shallow as me and you. Me and you listening, you man here, like me and you, a woman's got to be good looking, or we're going to be like, oh, fuck off, jog on. Right? Jog on. Right? Off you go. Right? No, I'm not talking to you, right? We've got to be at least physically attractive or think they're cute, right? You know, one of the two. Or both, right? A woman doesn't need that. Like, you could walk in with an aura and not be that good looking, but be wearing nice clothes and smell nice and have an attitude, an aura. And yeah, you're going to get your dick sucked, man. Like, yeah, it's happening. Okay? Like, we have advantages, they do not. And as soon as you wake up to that fact, things will start happening for you. Alright? So that's how I would begin to stop being a neckbeard. The main thing, Jen, is accountability. The main thing is accountability. Recognize where your faults are and work on those. Using whatever I've just said, you know. And women can be addicted to porn as well. And I would say, if you're one of these girls who reads those romance novels, you know the ones I mean, right? With copious amounts of sex in it and all that, stop that. That's your version of porn. Stop that. Stop reading that shit. Okay? Put down Baldur's Gate 3 and shit. Stop it. Stop reading. Stop playing that shit. Stop reading that shit. Okay? It fucks up your brain. If you're a woman. It just does. The amount of girls who are either on YouTube or any YouTuber will tell you, who does booktube will tell you, don't read this shit. It fucks with your brain. If you're a woman, right? Because you get turned on in different ways. And man, yeah, we shouldn't be watching porn because it really fucks us up, right? You're the same with these books. Don't do that. All right, burn them. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Don't read them again. All right, moving on. Stephen Guy says, hobby question. What is the best way to play 40k for beginners? Points, amount, strategies, game modes, armies. I would just love to hear your thoughts as a new Dark Angels player intending to jump in at the deep end. Cheers, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Combat Patrol. Combat Patrol, but don't use the rules. Don't use the models they want you to use, right? Use small 500 to 1,000 point games, 750 point games, and play from there. That's what I would do if I was doing 40k for beginners. So yeah, 500 to 750 points. Strategies. Do you know what? I would nuke stratagems altogether. Don't use them. Just don't use them. Advanced rules, don't use them. Get yourself the Combat Patrol box. Use the rules in there and build up from there. Game modes, again, Combat Patrol. And armies. Well, Dark Angels are a good shout. They pretty much do everything that you could have on the tin. Armies is a weird one because it depends what you're into, right? I will never tell you to not collect Tyranids because they're not the meta. You know? No, collect what you want to collect. That's the main thing, right? And do what you want to do, man. Do what you want to do. Robert Bodkin says, hello, North. Long time viewer and enjoyer of your show. Always nice to hear a northern lad talk about the hobby so many of us love and shine a light on the more undesirable part of it. Got a more positive question, though. What is your positive experience in the hobby? You can do one as a Games Workshop employee, as a hobbyist now. Always nice to bring some positivity in. Cheers, Rob. Okay. I've said this before, but when I was working in my own store, there was a lad in there who was so... he had issues. He had issues, like some mental issues going on, and he didn't speak, like at all. He just couldn't speak. And him and his dad would come in, and the lad would love 40k, and he'd paint all things, and he would build things, and I would give over because the painting desk had sides to it. Do you know what I mean? It had that border around it, so, and he loved sitting there. Now, you're not meant to use the painting desk, the introduction painting desk, where you can give intros to new players. For anything other than introductions, it's sacrosanct. You're not meant to touch it. But I was like, no, fuck it. That's where this lad wants to sit with his dad. That's where he's going to sit. And if I need to do a painting tutorial, I'll do it elsewhere. It's fine. And I did. And they came in, and they were having a really good time. Eventually, we got this lad up to go up to the gaming table and just look around, and the lads who were there on a Thursday night were all fine with him, and they were having a laugh, and I could see, as I was sitting next to this lad's dad, and I was painting my own models, we were looking over, we could see him nodding along and smiling to what these guys were saying to each other and all that, And as the weeks went on, he got more and more and more ingrained and happy with what he was doing over there. Until one day, I'm sitting there and I'm doing painting, and the dad makes like a sound, and nudges me. I'm like, what the fuck? What? And he points to the table. His son is laughing, verbally laughing. He's talking, right? And he points at something on the table, and he says, he sounds like he's deaf. And he points at something on the table and says something, about what's been going on. And the lad there goes, yeah, mate, it is, isn't it? And he claps him on the back, right? He's just one of the lads, right? And his dad just bawled. Just his lip was going, and he tears, and he just buried his head like, just paint my models, And it was just like such a cool moment just to see him eventually, slowly but surely, come out of his shell and be a dude around everybody else. So yeah, that's probably one of my best memories of working for GW. HRM Legs Guppy says, okay, he doesn't have a question, right? He just likes the channel. Okay, thank you. Litmus Ultimate Doom says, I'm a simple man with simple desires. Grant me new Slaneshi demons, O Lord of the Northern Exile. I wish I could, my friend. I wish I could. Jack DeVallo says, hello, North. Greetings from the frigid wastelands of North Dakota. Okay. I am Zebula, or Zabala. Okay, that's okay. I've been in the hobby for about a year now, and I really enjoy painting and building my Tyranids and Thousand Suns. My question for you is, how do I break out of my shell? I am an intensely shy and introverted person, and I have a very hard time making friends. And the few friends I have, more or less, are within the inner circle, and I've known them for about 10 to 15 years plus. I am part of the local Warhammer Discord, and I assume they are friendly people. I've met at least one who was an Orc player, whom I met at a boarding actions tournament at the local Games Workshop store. However, at the same tournament, there was another player who was not so friendly, and once he realised I was new to the local game, he certainly took advantage of it. And at this point, I'd only played maybe 3 or 4 games total, and I'm still learning how the rules work. Any thoughtful words from you would be deeply appreciated. Take care, God bless, and my condolences on your grandfather. P.S. I'm lurking in the Discord. Alright, well, thank you very much. Getting out of your shell. Well, dude, it's another one of those really hard ones. Anyway, it's another one of those really hard questions, because you're already doing what you should be doing. So my advice would be to carry on doing what you're doing. Carry on using your Discord. Carry on being a part of the local group. Reach out to people for new games. Be very honest with the fact that you're a first timer or a newbie, and you want to learn but you really want to learn the hobby and have a good time in it. Be that kind of a guy, right? Whenever you do play a game with somebody, be positive, be open, be happy, and make sure they have a good time. You will have friends gravitate towards you before you can blink. It just is going to be what it is. If you like to drink, then go out with your lads. The guys you've known for 10, 15 years, get them together and go out for a meal and then a few drinks. Right? And be open about inviting people when you're out to join your table. I've seen people do it, dude. It happens in America all the time. Literally. You're out with your lads. If you're talking to somebody and they seem pretty cool, don't just siphon off your table and say, siphon off. Don't just close off your table, say, these are my friends, and that's it. We don't want to be disturbed by anybody. No. Invite people to disturb you. Right? But yeah, come on in. Come sit down. Right? That kind of a thing. But you're already doing the things you need to do, dude. Just do them more. That's my advice to you. Abraham Gaunt says, hobby question, have you seen the new stuff Warlord Games is making for Conflict 47 version 2? What are your thoughts? I haven't, mate. No, I haven't, mate. But, yeah, I haven't. So, sorry. Supersonic says, hey, North, I hope things are well with you and condolences once again. My question is when you pick your armies, do you go with the rule of cool, or do you do some research into their lore and see what speaks to you, or do you like the armies that have real-world inspiration from history? A little bit of column A, B, and C, mate. Usually, I go with rule of cool. Wherever I think is cool, I will lean in towards that. But as I've gotten older in the hobby, it has been more the research, right? So if I'm doing a bit of research on something, or I've been watching a video on something, and something has spoken to me, that's when I'll start formulating plans to a new army. The first army is always the rule of cool, though. Your very first army should be rule of cool, but after that, I've noticed me and other people will start to do, the research into the lore, and that's how they get started with their armies, Real-world inspiration and history doesn't really sing to me at all. I'm playing 40k because it's 40k, That's just me. Reverend Demo says, from one ex-GW employee to another, it took me a long time, mainly due to the circumstances around it, how it came to an end, to let go of the resentment I had for the changes in the company that had given me so much joy as a kid in the 80s and 90s. So, did you have a similar period like that after you left, or did you just get back on the horse? And has it all changed over time since being an employee? Current train wreck of the law notwithstanding. Okay. Yeah, dude, I got out the hobby for a good few years when I left Games Workshop. Because I felt unwelcome. Not because of anything Games Workshop said in public, but because of stuff Games Workshop had said to me. Okay? Like, these are the same people who banned me from my own store after I was finished. Right? I wanted to go back in and say hi to people, and they were all like, yeah, we'd love to see you. And then I got like an email from Games Workshop saying, yeah, don't do that because you're banned from the store. Right? Literally. Banned from the store. Why? I ran events. Created like a cult-like atmosphere because, people liked me and not Games Workshop. They came in to see North. They came in to play games with North and to paint with North and shit like that, right? I was literally just banned from the store, and that was it. And I wasn't able to go back. I'd had very bitchy emails from trainers, from people who just didn't like me, or it was one of those things where as soon as you say anything that maybe is misconstrued, right? Like somebody's really overly sensitive, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, your card's marked now, and that's it. You are now persona non grata. You don't belong here. We're going to drive you out as quickly as possible. We're gonna take away your sleep. We're gonna take away your self-worth. We're gonna take away your motivation. We're gonna take away your happiness. And then, when all of that starts to affect your work performance, we're going to blame you and sack you. Right? They didn't sack me. My contract finished, right? And we didn't renew it. But yeah, that's just, they had invited me to come back and apply for the job that I already had because my contract had finished, and I didn't want to do that, And even the guy told me, like, there's one guy who's really nice in recruitment said, listen, if you apply for it, you'll get it because we don't have any other alternatives, so you'll get it. Yeah, it's fine. You'll get your job back, no problem, right? But I didn't want to. I just, no. I fuck that shit. Like, you've made me feel miserable. You haven't, as in the guy talking to me was like, no, mate, there are diamonds in this company that are really nice, but there's not enough of you. You are way outweighed by the 70% of the other guys who are fuckwits, who've made me fucking miserable. I'd maybe want to like self-delete and get out of here and not be a part of it anymore. Right? So I left the company under that kind of a cloud. You know, I'm going to Warhammer World in like a month with a mate of mine on low key, because I want to test what it'll be like, because I want to do a Jolly Boys outing for the lads near Christmas on the channel, right? I'm looking for us to all go out near a Christmas to Warhammer World on a big outing for the channel. But I want to see what it's going to be like, because I have a funny feeling we'll go there and they'll be like, nah, you need to leave. I'm serious. I have a funny feeling I'll go to Warhammer World and there'll be some dickhead who says, nah, you need to leave. And I'll have no choice but to leave, right? And I'd rather do that with one of my best friends beside me who knows how much of a fucking pile of dicks Games Workshop are, than be there with everybody from the channel and be embarrassing for everybody. So I'm going to go there on the down low. I'll speak to the people who I need to speak to. I know where they are, right? And if it all is good, then we'll go on an outing. But the fact that I have to do that, and all I did was run a fucking store to the point that people liked being in the store, right? Yeah, I had resentment for a long time about Games Workshop and how they treated me. For a long time. You know? And I was out of the hobby for a long time. It was only when I went to America and the next phase of my life broke down, right? So now I had a more traumatic thing happen to me than leaving Games Workshop in that cloud, under that cloud, right? So something happened in my life that made leaving Games Workshop under that cloud seem very small, right? And when that happened, that's when Warhammer came back into my life. I used it as a crutch, as a scaffolding to rebuild my life around. And now I'm in a complete love affair with Warhammer and the hobby in general, but beyond Warhammer, because I've used it to build a really cool community of people that I really love being around. You know, I've divorced Games Workshop from my hobby, and now I love it more than I've ever loved it in my life. You know, so yeah, it did take me a while. It did take me a while, and it took context for me to come back. But I did in the end. So, there you go. That's probably going to be the title question, because that was a juicy one. That got a bit out of me. So, Henry Cunningham says, hello, North. My question is, do you think that it is self-destructive when the old guard / gatekeepers of the hobby remove themselves from the Games Workshop ecosystem? By that, I mean the current rules, models, lore, etc. Okay. My example of this would be the Outer Circle, after the heresy drama, and how he's advocating for a new edition and a move away from Games Workshop. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of that, because it's you generalizing and not generalizing, but you generally explaining your point, which is fine. But thank you very much for that, mate. No, I don't think self-defeating. It's only self-defeating if you value Games Workshop. Right? Do you value Games Workshop enough to try and save it when it doesn't want to be saved? That's a serious question. Like, do you value Games Workshop enough to stick around and try and save them when they've told you for years they don't want you or don't like you? If the answer is yes, then fine. It's worth it for you to stick around. If the answer is no, which it should be, then go and make your own thing with blackjack and hookers and enjoy it. You don't need Games Workshop to enjoy Warhammer. Okay? It isn't self-defeating to me. No, it isn't. It's not self-destructive at all. It's destructive for Games Workshop, but who gives a fuck about them? Who gives a fuck about them? I don't. Moving on. Marsingri Co. says, hi North, what are your 3 favourite AOS factions? Age of Sigmar factions. New Stormcast Eternals, Orcs, and Trolls. Sons of Bahamut. Awkward Shrimp says, hello, Mr. North. New dad of an 11-month-old here. Well, congratulations, dude. I spend my sleepless nights painting Adeptus Mechanicus. How would you introduce a kid to tabletop miniature games? age, genre, rule set. Also, what do you think of the value it would be? Reading, painting, creativity, maths, etc. Huge value, dude. Huge value. In terms of the reading, well, that's obvious. The reading lore and the reading rules. Painting, obviously, they're painting models. They're going to get really good close motor control. They're going to... creativity, yes, they're going to be writing new lore. They're going to be writing new rules. They're going to be painting and building models. Dude, all of that stuff. And maths, yes. It's all in there, dude. If you want a hobby to ingrain a young person in skills that really tap into them being young and also skills for later on in life, Warhammer's the shit, and you should be doing it. In terms of rule set, OPR, one-page rules as a rule set, because it isn't a dumbed-down version. Do you know what I mean? If you do combat patrol, that's fine, but you'll still get Warhammer players saying, well, that's not really 40k, is it? Right? But if you're playing one-page rules, dude, a kid can play one-page rules, and he's playing one-page rules. Do you know what I mean? And you can make that as complicated or as simple as you like. That's what I would do. One-page rules, use 40k models, and do it like that. That's what I would do with you, man. But congrats on having you, baby. Well done to you. How many more of these do we have? Not that many, okay. Star Maestro says, I've heard some of your comments on religion in previous videos, and now I'm curious. Were you raised by any kind of religion in the household? I'm quite versed in the Bible, and I know you're a historian, but what's your take on the historical accuracy of events within the scriptures? Thank you for answering our questions. Okay, I was not brought up in a religious household, no. I did the conversion thing in America because I was marrying a Jew, and that's what you had to do. I'm still not religious in any way, really. I'm spiritual. In fact, I think there's something out there. I think the universe is a thing, you know what I mean? And it provides when it needs to provide, that kind of shit. But in terms of everything else, no, not really very religious at all. In terms of historicity of the Bible, it's very good for sources who are talking about Christianity who aren't Christians. Right? The minute you get a Christian talking in the Bible, you gotta treat that thing with a lot of suspicion. Same thing goes for Muslims in the Quran, right? The minute you get a Muslim talking about his own religion, treat it with suspicion. It's probably not true. Same thing goes for Christians talking about Christianity and vice versa. When you've got the Romans talking about Christianity, then you can open up your ears because they were really annoying to the Romans. So, you know what I mean? It's the same thing with judging historical sources, right? The way you judge historical sources is, I always use the Battle of Agincourt as a good marker for this. So the English, not the British, you weren't there, fuck you. The English, right? The English will say, the Welsh were there, but anyway, the English will say, okay, we had 5,000 men and they had 50,000 men, and we killed 40,000 Frenchmen. Ridiculous numbers, really heroic numbers. The French will say, it wasn't really like that, right? We had 20,000 men, and they had 15,000 men, and yeah, they killed about 10,000 of us. They won the battle, right? So, still a good victory, outnumbered, but not anywhere near as heroic as what the English say. Well, what's the truth then? Well, the truth is somewhere in between, right? And usually, you will go to, if you can find a French source that gives the numbers around 2 to 3 to 1 in the favour of the French, that's probably going to be true, because he's a Frenchman. He doesn't want to give the English too much credit, but also he is saying, yeah, but we did outnumber them 2 to 3 to 1. So, it's kind of, that's the kind of source you go, right, that's kind of true. That seems true, right? We can't know, but you have to read between the lines. Same thing goes for the historicity of the Quran and of the Bible as well. You've got to read between the lines. And that's how you would do it in being a history teacher. Moving on. Jim Box says, I got a question for you. Assuming you have a pile of shame yourself, I do, how do you get motivated to paint anything? I find it hard, mostly because I have no one to play the game with besides my kids, who are 5 at the moment. I'm sure you can guess how riveting those games are. I don't. Do you know why, Jim? They're my fucking models, and I'll do with them what I please. And if I don't feel like painting them right now, I won't. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have more important things to do than painting models, do them. Go to the gym, as I said before. Do other things. No problem. Right? When the mood strikes me to paint models, I recognise the mood has struck me, and I go and paint some models. Simple. And if that mood doesn't strike me, maybe I'm not into painting models right now. I don't beat myself up about it. I don't guilt myself about it. No. It's just not where I am right now, and that's fine. So give yourself a break would be my estimation. And as soon as you do that, by the way, you'll feel less pressure to paint your models, and you'll end up fucking painting them. I'm serious. It works. Eric Smith says, "Hello North, let us suppose that you have a time-travelling camera with 90 minutes of battery. The camera cannot interact with the past other than to observe it in 4K and then return perfectly accurate footage to you. When and where do you send this camera?" Oh. Ooh. Marilyn Monroe's shower. Moving on. Captain Arcturus says, "Hey North, I'm 23. I work as a pot wash in a kitchen in Ormskirk." Good lad. Good lad. "I've been struggling a lot with my mental health, especially since most of my friends would rather cry about how their life is so much harder because they're trans." I want to sod them off and find an actual group of lads, but between work and Asperger's syndrome, I don't have a clue how to go about that. Could you give me some advice? I know the question is open-ended, and I'm sorry about that. It's the only thing I could think to ask. No, man, it's alright. Dude, fuck it, you're in Ormskirk. I'll take you for a pint. Message me on Discord. Fuck that shit. I'll take you for a pint. No problem. I'll introduce us to some red-blooded males, dude. That's no problem. I can do that. Go on the Discord and add me as a friend and chat to me. I'll take you for a pint. How's that? Dude, just because that trans line was funny, I'll take you for a pint. But dude, there's loads of other dudes on there who would love to go for a pint with you in Liverpool. So literally, get out there and talk to them. And dude, and if most of your people are saying life's more, and as soon as you get into this, if your friends want to get into a victim Olympics with you, cast them off. Right? If you say, listen, here's my life and how hard it is, and it's really fucking me off right now, I need some support, and they go, "Huh, that's nothing, man. My life's like that, and it's even worse." Yeah? Well, fuck off. I'm going over here. You know, get rid of those friends, dude. I'm serious. Get rid of those friends. Dram1984 says, "Hello North, I've been feeling more and more of a disconnect with the hobby and people in it. I'm in my early 40s, married, kids, house, etc. And most people I meet, even ones my age or older, remind me of myself when I was a kid. I know the man-child thing is a bit worn out and loaded of a term, yeah, but it really does seem like a lot of people in the hobby stopped growing up in their late teens and have made their hobby their entire life, which is fine, I guess, and even endearing in a kid, but strange and off-putting in adults. Is there still room in the Warhammer hobby for actual adults who just want to have some fun, or is it just kids and overgrown kids?" You come across them. You know what I mean? I know that. You come across them. But I think this is you being overexposed to one side of it, right? I think as soon as you go to... I don't know because of how I am. Like, as soon as you go to any sort of event or something like that, you will meet people who like 40k and are adults, dude. Like, you know, it's hard to answer that because I've never come across a situation like this. I have if you go to one group where these guys congregate and they're all dickheads. Yeah, alright, fine. But, like, as soon as you get out there and you go to different groups, you're gonna meet actual adults, you know? I don't know, dude. I don't know. Yes, there is still room for it. There's tons of them out there, dude. I'm serious. There are tons of normal dudes who play Warhammer. Dads, granddads, uncles, teachers, lawyers, doctors. They're out there, man. They're everywhere. What you need to do, as soon as you come across one of those guys, swap numbers and keep them in your little black book of opponents. That's what you need to do. Nestor Ment So says, "Hobby question. I want to play pre-heresy Emperor's Children in the 40k setting. I was thinking about making this group of Marines the survivors of a failed warp travel. They are about 30 Marines. Is it lore-friendly of a warp jump of 10,000 years, or should I think of another way to make my Marines act in the lore? No, it's lore-friendly. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Also, they eventually die. Should they be exterminated by another Marine chapter, Demon Fulgrim, or trying to retrieve Clone Fulgrim? What do you think? I'm listening to lore videos whenever I can, and don't trust GTP that much. So your answer is appreciated. Dude, all of the answers you gave to yourself there are all good hobby reasons for killing off the guys you made. So yes, it's fine, and yes to all of the things that you said there. Why don't they get exterminated by another Marine chapter and Demon Fulgrim while trying to go and get Clone Fulgrim? All of it works. Combine them. Big 2 says, if Games Workshop would let you rewrite or add something to one faction on 40k, except Grey Knights, who would you choose in terms of miniatures and official paint scheme and lore? I'd introduce Renegade Space Marines. Renegade chapters and Chaos Warbands that aren't like, you know... what if I want a Chaos Warband that doesn't have, like, a vagina on its face? Or, you know, or snails crawling out of its ass, right? You know, what if I want... Or doesn't have anger issues? What if I want, you know, Chaos undivided dudes that aren't, like, mental? That are just, like, anti-heroes? I'd create that codex and those colour schemes. Right? The Lost and the Damned. That's what I'd do. Alright. Angry Skeleton Pope says, Discord here. Oh, cheers, man. I forgot you before. Since Games Workshop will never fix 40k and make it as good as it once was, and smaller war games or even fan creations that try to improve it will never gain popularity, at least enough to be played in clubs and local game stores, what do you think will become of the hobby? Are people who care about actual wargaming doomed to leave hobby for historicals or actually well-played games? Yes. Yes. I think so. I think so. Unfortunately, yes. That is where we're going. You know, the dudes, older dudes who loved 40k back in the day are pretty much doomed to walk away and find somewhere else to be. I don't think there's any way back, mate. No. They've made it very clear, Games Workshop, that they don't like us or want us. Which is fine. That's their prerogative. But we have to recognise when we're not wanted and go elsewhere. You can still do Warhammer without Games Workshop. You can play older editions. You can play one-page rules. There are ways to have fun. Alright? I advise you go and do those. David Stevenson says, Hi North, how would you fix the new Grey Knights lore? Or rather, how would the Grey Knights fit into the Exileverse? Okay. I think we did this already. Do you know what? I'm going to put the answer to that in the description down below. Do you know what? I'm going to reply to you right now. I'm going to reply to you right now with the answer to that question. Because we rebuilt them. We did rebuild them on stream a while back. Yeah, here we go. There we go. So I'm gonna walk it into the reply to this question. There you go, mate. I've answered your question. It's right there. Josh says, hobby question, North. What do you think of the new combat patrol mode? Both its own thing. I've answered this. It's great. I think it's a really good way to get in new players. Flying Sal says, hey North. Why do you think so many franchises inevitably lose their way? I started out as a Halo player, oh god, was really getting into Star Wars when the sequel trilogy was happening, and now it feels like I got into Warhammer at the end of the thing. Why is this a common trend for big franchises to lose sight of what they are? Because they chase money. Okay? They chase money. They're already making billions, but they want tens of billions, right? And to be fair, that's their job. It's their job to make more and more and more and more and more money. That's the natural progression of things. You chase a wider audience. You dumb down the things that maybe will turn off the general audience. You get a really niche people to come in and give you lots of money to do your thing, and then when it's time to evolve, you alienate those people and you bring in a wider audience, and you sort of kill off the hobby for the original people. That's the life cycle of geekdom. Is what it is. It sucks, but it is what it is, man. That's why. I wish it wasn't a thing, but again, with 40k, unlike other things, we have previous versions to go back to and play. So, you are welcome here, man. You're not getting into the hobby at the end of it. You're getting into the hobby at a brand new world. A brave new world's happening, dude. Right? This is the most exciting time to ever get into the hobby. Why? Because we're kicking Games Workshop out of it. How exciting is that? Don Mac says, hello, North. What are your thoughts on Wargaming Illustrated and similar non-Games Workshop Wargaming magazines? Love it. Had it on many a train journey over the years. More people need to support them. All right. Those are the questions. We are about an hour and 15 in. Oh, my God. I love you all long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will speak to you tomorrow for some more hobby nightmares. Love you. Bye.